says, if somebody come up and start calling me Paul, I'm not gonna respond because my name ain't Paul. So you can say it about me, and it's all good. You know what I'm saying? But back in the day when I was younger, and you call me Paul, I had to withdraw. My name ain't Paul. My name Joe.
Paul from the Bible.
No, I'm just using Paul.
Oh,
as long as you don't call me Saul, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But my thing about it is like, if you know that's not who you, that's part of yourself. So I didn't have to respond. So I would see the person, you know, in various circles, various venues, whatever. And I'd come through and I was like, I'd speak to everybody around. I wouldn't say nothing to that person. And one day they called me out one day. They're like, can we talk? And I was like, what's up? They said, you know, did I do something to offend? I said, yeah, you did, blah, blah, blah. So what they did, what they said. I said, I'm real sorry. You know, they did a Jamie Foxx and said, you know, blame it on the alcohol, whatever. And it's cool, which was, I wanna, you know, bring up to the next thing about the mental health that helps people and helps yourself. We have to learn the art of forgiveness. And not just forgiving the other person, sometimes you have to forgive yourself. You know what I'm saying? None of us are perfect. People are not perfect. So when we go out there, because some people, you know, there was a dude named Mark Cross, and I was reading about it. He was an Atlanta police officer. This was probably around about 2002, 2003, whatever. But when they interviewed his wife, she regretted not being able to say I'm sorry, because they got into bills were late, whatever. They got into the argument. She went out and said something like, like it's probably when they left, probably used some kind of expletive, whatever. And that's the way they left that day. He got shot and never regained consciousness. So when she got to the hospital, she was just basically talking to her. He wasn't dead yet, but like a life in his body. So she don't know if he was able to forgive her. I don't know anybody has been in that state like that. But the point about it is that it weighed so much on her. Because now this person laying there, you say something mean, and you can't forgive. So now for us, every day, like you said about your brother, hopefully this will encourage you to call him up and be like, hey man, what we beefed about, last week, it was stupid, man. I apologize for blowing my top. I hope you apologize for blowing your top, because at the end of the day, we brothers. Because some people never give over the fact that somebody doesn't forgive them, and it sends them down that negative rabbit hole. So, and when we don't forgive ourselves, we relive it. I told my son a couple years ago, I apologized to him. He was like 2 years old, and I gave him a spanking because I was frustrated. His dad, he was just crying that morning, whatever. When he stopped crying, we were doing everything. And I gave him a spanking, and it bothered me to this day because I saw fear in his eyes when I gave him that little bit of spanking. His eyes just like widened even further than what they were for me. So he got older. I said, you don't remember this? I got to apologize for spanking. I said, I'm apologizing to you, for me spanking you that day. I said, I was frustrated. He's going through our lives. I'm trying to get ready to go to work, do whatever. So, and that helped me, because then that helped him, because then we could sit there and we have that talk. And when I got older, my dad and I were driving one day, and I told my dad something that he did when I was young. My dad said, you made me sound like I was the worst dad. I said, no. I said, you were a great dad. I said, you just did some things that hopefully I won't do when I have kids. You know what I'm saying? I'm learning from your mistakes, in that aspect of it. And he said, if you felt that way, I'm sorry. But he did say, I'm not saying that's the best thing to say, but it's an understanding thing, like you said. Until you become a parent, you don't understand. You never understood what your parents were going through.
Right, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? So, and that's my whole thing. That's why I say be able to forgive, because you never really know what somebody else is going through. So you open up, talk to them, and just be able to forgive. Because you realize that whatever you beat about probably had nothing to do with nothing.
Are we forgiving every time? I mean, our culture is full of forgiveness. We're the only culture that practices.
Well, biblically,
we forgive other races,
or does
not
it
ourselves. It's self-hate.
My brother, to case in point, he apologized, but I still was angry after that. And see, how do you deal with that? That's the part that I need answers on.
Really? Well,
He apologized to me
family.
and my family. Anybody else, I wouldn't let it affect me like that. But my brother did that to me. I felt the type of way.
But see, when he apologized. So my thing about it like this, he manned up. He came sit there and said, hey, you know what? I realize that, like I said, we argue about nothing that meant nothing. So, I mean, but now you gotta forgive yourself because you're harboring something that somebody is like, let it go. I mean, when water goes under a bridge, you go back and chase it. You let it go. Mm-hmm. So that's the same thing you gotta do. But like, hey, if you realize, kind of like Sean said about the breakup with his last relationship. If you know you did everything, and sometimes we just gotta be at a pass. We're just not going to agree, and it's cool to not agree, whatever. Because at the end of the day, like when I was in college, you know, I used to get mad at little stuff like that, whatever. This chick told me, said, man, Joe, if they ain't doing one or all of the 3 Fs, forget them. Y'all know the 3 Fs, all right? So if they ain't doing one or all of the 3 Fs, why are you paying attention to them?
What's the 3 Fs?
You want me to say it right now?
Yeah, that's the 3 Fs.
Hey, we own this. All right. What the 3 Fs? If they ain't doing one or all of the 3, if they ain't feeding, fucking, or financing you, why does it matter?
Yeah. And also too, I wanted to take a little pause.
You just want to hear me curse on the
audience.
I wanted to introduce Mike to the
sorry.
too. Go ahead.
I go by the name Chef Fly, Michael Lawson, born and bred Atlanta, Georgia. This sound hungry? Proof hungry room?
No. Circle Fellaship.
Appreciate the shout out. My partner's in here, man. You know, I just want to know. I just walked into something. But yeah, man. Born bred ATLian, 45, retired from Delta Airlines, and on my own catering company, man. You know,
That's what's up, man.
single as it is, man. I'm just listening, man. When it come to, I got a different relationship. Well, my family makeup is different, so we kind of don't have that type of situation going on ever in life, because we just was raised to communicate. So I'm just listening right now.
Lucky you, man, for real.
I know.
A lot of families don't have that.
You're right. I'm not saying we don't have our own problems. We just have a better communication skill. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
That's. But I'm listening right now, man.
That's important, what you just said. Communication.
Oh yeah.
That's key.
Oh yeah. Well, the background of my family is hospitality and education. So of course communication is very big in the household, and getting education. So that might be what it is. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, I'm just listening.
Hey, I want to go ahead. I'm gonna let you.
I'm done.
Yeah. You had mentioned that everything is a lesson. That is powerful. Every situation we deal with in life is supposed to teach us something, whether it be good or bad. And that's the part that I had to more or less be okay with. Some things I couldn't understand. Like I said, that's why I'm leaning more not on my own understanding of things. I just give it to God. Because sometimes I'm not going to understand why it happened. Right. And that's why I said I was still angry at my brother, because I don't understand why he would do that. Right. That's the part that I had to deal with. I'm like, bro, this is me. I done brought you to these people. I'm showing you love.
Especially at a function.
At a function, and you get mad because you got a stain on your jacket.
Right, come on, bro.
I couldn't understand that. I'm like, bro, you can this is I'm checking on you to make sure you're good. But when I'm checking on you, man, I don't feel like it right now, and I should have just left him alone.
It seemed like you took more responsibility about it than he did.
Yeah.
And we do that a lot.
Yeah.
And we have to be like, you know what, if they don't care, why do I care? But we also have in our mind what we think things should be, especially if we got our hand in something. Mm-hmm. Then I definitely want to make sure this is curated that way. I know you can talk to that, Mike. If something is curated a certain way, or if it's you know, if it's not set up how you had in your mind what it was gonna be, you gonna be upset.
That's in a nutshell, though.
You're gonna be upset.
Yeah.
in my business, what I do is I think everything through, and so down to the details, you know. So yeah, and then I have a crew. So if it's, I'm not gonna take the blame because I told you X, Y, Z. So yeah, it's definitely a problem because I like stuff to move like a theater. You know, it's like a play. It should move real smooth like that. Everybody should know their role.
Right.
You know.
But if it doesn't, how do you respond to that?
We have a conversation. Like I said, we big on communication. But it's like, you know, this is your fault. This is your fault. Because this is something we've done over and over again. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, hey, at most jobs, it's always foundational structure. You learn the job. Some you learn while you're doing it. But you know, that's why you got a grace period of how long you've been there. Because in 30 days, 60 days out, you're supposed to know what to do. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, I always looked at like, cause I knew early on, cause I was out there. I didn't care, and I was just shaking and moving, little razzle dazzle over here. You know what I'm saying? I didn't care, and it got to a point to where when I started caring, the people that I started to care for didn't care for me. And that's when I was like, all right, you got to step back, and you got to figure out what's wrong with you. I had to figure out what was wrong with me. And so that's when I started, from that point on, anytime I deal with somebody, I look at it as a lesson, because it could have been something they did to me that was wrong, and then I look at it more so like, well, what did I do to get them to that spot to where they had to treat me like that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Did I ever talk to them about, is this something that, you was brought up on and you really didn't address the issue, and you just poured it out on me? Did I take the time to want to try to talk to you about that, or did I just react? And so for me, that's why I say I try to take all those things, and just like Joe was saying, watching my dad move how he moved, it was things that he did that I still feel like I'm trying to fill his shoes. And then there was some things that I was just like, yeah, I know I ain't doing that.
Right.
I ain't gonna tell him that, but I'm learning what not to do by watching you do it. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want that for myself. So I take that all as a lesson. And like I said, I don't take it as a loss. A lot of times we walk around, dang, this one didn't work, that one didn't work. What did you learn about yourself in that situation? Because it was time that was spent with you trying to coexist with somebody. And within that, I think we should always be learning no matter what we're doing. When you stop learning, you need to just dig your hole and lay in it. But we need to continuously learn every day, everything. Like I say, even in the worst situations, learn from that stuff and grow from it. And so that's why I just say, all the relationships I've been in, I look at them as lessons.
I think what you said. Okay.
Sure. I think in life, my pastor's wife, she says that in life, things will always come easy when they're genuine. You won't have to work for it, search for it, it'll just happen. And people know when you're naturally a genuine person. You know what I mean? The greatest gift that you can give somebody is your time, man. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
Because that's just something we can't never get back.
It's true.
I got that quote out of a book from Rick Warren, Purpose Driven Life. Great, excellent book, highly recommend it. And as genuine brothers, man, in this fellowship that we're having today, I can appreciate you all. You all are genuine. You all are genuine. You stand up, solid brothers in here. You know what I mean? But outside in society, they'll take advantage of that. People in general, they'll fall in love with your hand and not your heart.
Ooh, say it again.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
I'm serious. Facts. They'll fall in love with your hand and not your heart, and will crush you in the end.
The thing that I noticed too is that just with my marriage and all that stuff, is just like you can literally be the whole package, but at the wrong address. And that's really what I had to kind of come to grips with. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
because you can literally like do everything for somebody and they will tell everybody that you have done nothing for them. And I think that's one of the hardest things for me is like knowing my intention, knowing my heart and all that stuff, and then still coming out of this like I'm the asshole or I'm the villain. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I think that falls into what you were talking about as far as like being able to like let go. And I think that's one area where I've had a problem with. It's just like, man, it shouldn't have ended this way. Maybe I could do something. And I'm always trying to like fix. I'm a fixer. You know what I'm saying? So I'm always trying to. You know what I'm saying? But with being a fixer, it comes with a lot of putting yourself last. And I can't do that anymore. So.
Oh no, it was just funny because when we was on the phone talking about stuff, I was like, bruh, ain't nobody gonna love you like you love you. You gotta do what you gotta do to make sure that you straight. Ain't nobody else gonna do that for you. And he was like, I know, but I'm trying. I said, look here, bruh, I'm just gonna tell you that what you need to do. You know what I'm saying? And I said, but whatever you feel needs to happen, but at the end of that, make sure you put yourself first.
And so, what he's referring to, what he's referring to is so, and I don't think you know this, but so my divorce was final, and so I had to serve my ex-wife eviction papers 2 nights ago. She lost her shit, man. Like she's probably at the house right now, busting holes in my walls and all that shit. I don't know, man. But I hope not. But yeah, man. So I was just kind of struggling with that because I'm like, man, I care about her kids. We share a son together, and I didn't want to be that guy who was just like, you know, oh damn, Chris has kicked the ex-wife and his kids out. You know what I'm saying? But then I kind of came to a place of this woman is taking advantage of me. She's taking advantage of my kindness, all of that stuff. So I need to make a decision. It's a tough decision. I don't want to make the decision, but I have to. And I made the decision. And whatever happens, you know what I'm saying? So now her kids don't talk to me. They mad at me. You know what I'm saying? She won't talk to me. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I know that part of the manipulation is by design. It's to like kind of guilt trip me a little bit, so she can get what she wants. But I just need to, you know, stay firm on that, on my decision, and whatever else happens after that is like, I'll take it.
You know, it's kind of funny, you guys. I know I came back in, but what you guys talking about, to me, it's like it's the airplane mentality.
What's that? I never heard of.
So when you're on an airplane, you know, they do give you the instructions before they take off, right?
Oh, you're talking about
So when the airbag drops, whose airbag you supposed to put on first? Who put on yours? Because you put on your kids, your moms, your neighbors, whatever. And if you're the only one that has any kind of, you know, managerial skills in that aspect of it, not like business-wise, but just knack to be able to get things done, leadership, whatever. Well, they all gonna die because they breathing, but you done passed out, you done died. So you put yours on first, you take care of you. Then you take care of them as it goes. Now, sad part about it is, are you gonna be able to get to everybody? Sometimes not. My profession, I didn't want to talk about it earlier, but I am a firefighter. And that's one thing about it is that, so, and I could talk about it from a mental health aspect, from like the most serious standpoint, because I get paid to fix people's problems. But people don't want to act as if I go through problems myself. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So I remember one year I was in charge of station, and you know, my sister called me, and she was like, you know, grandma died, and I was like, and you know, tears started coming down, whatever. Probably around about 8 minutes later, the bell goes off. Like literally, like I had to turn that faucet off and get out there and go fix somebody else's medical problem. And think about being at work for 24 hours. Don't have anybody to really sit there and talk to about it. It was an eat-up on the inside. But at the end of the day, as I go back out and think about it, yeah, I just probably should have called my taxi, but I ain't took us out of service. But then, like I said, that superhero mentality goes on, like, well, you take us out of service, then this truck can't run at this particular time. So somebody else may be in need, and now we're not able to respond because we gotta wait for another officer to come over here to relieve me, this whatever the case may be. So I go into say all that is that I'm encouraging everybody who's out here listening, us in this room, get the preventive help that you may feel that you need. Don't wait until you get gangrene before you go get your foot checked out. So before you get gangrene of the heart, gangrene of the mind, go get, like you said before. If I gotta ask that question, is this logical? Whatever. Go talk to somebody about it, and they may be able to give you that, right? And they may even refer you to somebody. Say, hey, you may need to go, talk to somebody. This is beyond my scope. I appreciate the fact that you trust me with your situation, but I'm not, able to handle them this level. It's like, and I'm not saying that anybody who doesn't have it, but like we already go talk to somebody who doesn't have kids about my kids. They can have aunties, they can have nieces, nephews, whatever, which is not a problem. And I'm kind of digressing that. I may tell them the situation. That's why I said before I put blames to anybody, I'll tell somebody my situation first. And hopefully, I may just need you to be my sounding board. Mm-hmm. Because the one thing that you don't, because I did that some years ago, I was sitting there at a bar. Jamie Foxx, I was blaming on alcohol. So I'm sitting at the bar, the old Bennett, it used to be Bennigan's, but it changed to Joe's on Sullivan Road at that time, right? So I'm sitting there with my buddy, and I was fussing about my wife, whatever. I said, man, she gotta go. He said, man, Joe, promise me you ain't gonna tell her to go when you go home. I said, man, I promise you I ain't gonna do it. First thing I got to do it. You gotta go. Whatever.
The alcohol for sure. Take on another spirit. That's why they call it spirit.
But and now when I go back and I look at it, it's a regret. That I have that time, because even though we're still married, like you take a piece of heart, you cut a piece of the heart out, it doesn't function the same way that it used to. So now you're still trying to rebuild it, but you're only working with 80% of your heart versus working with that 100% that you had. So.
Oh man, I honestly, I just want to say to the audience, check your mental. Everybody needs a mental checkup. I don't care how strong you feel or how much you feel like you got it together, how much, we as brothers, we take on a lot. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna dismiss the sisters, y'all take on a lot too, but at the end of the day, how can we all help each other? Because that's what's missing in our community. A lot of things, even with you getting a divorce and stuff, right? Being that you divorced her, as a man, we supposed to still show these, individuals that we deal with a different way so where they can channel and become their greatest version of themselves. Because if you leave her, right, I'm not even gonna say damaged, because it might have met her on her way to being on her while she was already, and you didn't know, it just came out. But when you do leave her, do you leave her still damaged, or do you come back and say, you know what, I'm still going to show you the example of what, as a man, the role I'm supposed to be in your life. You know what I'm saying? Because see, she still, you might leave her, right? And she may not grow. You can continue to grow, but she might stay stagnant, left with that distasteful thing in her. Let's say, not knowing her history, let's say she was married to somebody else. But you might have been the one that come along and show her something different. You know what I'm saying? And teach her that lesson.
I think that goes with his situation, because he felt he did everything he could and it still didn't work out. So I think that correlates with his situation. I think for mine, sometimes you just gotta leave people where they at, and don't really look to try to, because I definitely have a tendency to do that, where it's like where I'm trying to change that part of me. But as far as I'll always try to okay, well, what if I move this like this? Maybe it'll be different. Okay, that didn't work. Maybe if I do this, and I find myself spending a lot of time doing that, where it doesn't make a difference. You know what I'm saying? People treat you how they feel about you, 100%. And this goes back to letting go. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you just gotta let people go. You know what I'm saying? And never look back.
Yeah, I agree with the letting go part. But like you said, you've done everything that you possibly feel like you can do, obviously. You know what I'm saying? That's why y'all are separated. My situation, me dealing with
I'm not
women.
married. I'm single.
He said divorce.
Divorce, right?
Scorpio, good job. I'm Detroit, what up?
I'm a single.
And he got niggas on eyebrows. Damn.
I'm a single man too, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, right, you're gonna meet somebody else. You know what I mean? And let's say they have a situation or whatever, like you never know what people's paths are, right? So me being single, you being single, you know what I mean, the other single brothers and sisters in there, how do we bridge the gap on the separation thing because you have been through things, you know what I'm saying? These are the conversations that need to be had because I mean we can't I'm not looking forward to being single forever. You know what I'm saying? So I want to make sure that in the next situation I get in, that we are equally yoked. You know what I'm saying? But just in case I don't get that, I'm hoping that I get it. That's my like in life, right? How do you know your next situation is going to be the equally yoked thing? How do you know, or when do you know it's time? You know what I'm saying? These are the things that people, yeah, we're single, but I don't want to go back to a familiar spirit. You know what I mean? Or somebody that I dealt with before and get, you know what I mean, get into the same situation and I wasted all this time. You know what I mean? I want to be able to say, you know what? I meet you where you at. You know what I mean? And let's see if we can grow together. If we can't grow together, like you said, let's just let each other keep going. You know what I mean? And I just pray that like all of us meet our match in the sense of not somebody that's beneath or above, somebody that meets us, you know what I'm saying, on the same level so we can grow together. Because that's what a lot of the black culture is missing. We have women that are doing their thing and we doing our things, you know what I'm saying, and we trying to meet them, you know what I mean, on our level and or whatever, and then they trying to meet us on their level instead of like coming together and growing together and meeting each other where they at. You know what I'm saying? That's where a lot of the issues come at because people have these expectations on what they want. And I've come to the realization that I don't know what I want. I just want what God wants for me. I think I know what I want. You know what I'm saying? I think I know what she looks like. I think I know what kind of car she drives, what kind of house that I want her to have. You know what I'm saying? What kind of level in her career, how many degrees, whatever the accolades be. But I've come to a realization that I have to submit myself to him and then submit myself to my wife. You know what I'm saying? And what you did, I haven't been married before. But I said once I do it, I want it to be in that order. You know what I'm saying? But vice versa, she has to love God more than she loves me. Because she loves God, she's going to know how to love me automatically. You know what I'm saying? And I use God because I love God. I reference him in everything I do. You know what I mean? So.
Well, you basically said you answer your own question, you know, in that aspect of it. But the only thing I was going to say is we have to stop friends on them people. And when I sit there and say in that aspect is that everybody says they want to marry their best friend. I want my spouse to be my best friend, whatever. But they have a friend that they could have, they like, well, they leave that person on that side of the street. So two parallel lines will never intersect. You have to be willing to intersect. If you are dealing with somebody and you feel, you know, and women do what to do. Oh man, you're a good dude. Yeah, you like to see your friend. And go to the girlfriend. Get up, guy. Go date. Oh, why don't you go date? Because I don't want to mess up a friendship. But if we got friends, if you're true friends, you're.
That's a cop out. When they say that,
I know it is. But I'm saying, that's my point. Is that because we all like as all heterosexual men here, we all have friends. We probably got friends that, like, I'm 50 and I got a best friend that's 50. You know, we've had our differences and agreements, but if you friends, you're going to stay friends. Just like you and your brother. You and your brother, y'all are blood brothers, but you guys are friends. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, that's the way we go to our relationships. You know, that's the way it has to be. Like, you friend, like, work, you know, on that level. You know, I'm not, you know, even when I was single, the chick that I was dating ain't the one I just want to just go play basketball with, and that's just gonna be it. You know, me not a chick that I say is a friend. I'm probably gonna start moving that way towards you, like relationship wise. Like, hey, I'm trying to test that water because I feel that we cool. We are. I am feeling that we are. But if they want to just leave you on that friend side, then that's cool. But later on, somebody gonna realize that they done missed that bus.